Take a moment and imagine you are the patriarch or matriarch in one of the world's most powerful families, heading to work each day to helm over $10 trillion in assets. Would you consider this a dream life, where you and your brood get to shape global markets, influence policy, and command unparalleled influence across industries and continents? Indeed, the weight of such immense power would be absolutely staggering. Each decision made by you and your family ripples through economies, alters the lives of millions, and sends waves of competitive pressure cascading through the world's elite circles. Yet, for the Fink family, this is not just a dream. It is their daily reality. And as the driving force behind one of the largest and most influential financial empires on the planet, the Finks wield an unparalleled level of influence and responsibility. Thus, in today's episode, we'll share the secrets of their saga, unveiling how they amass their extraordinary fortune, the mechanisms of their global impact, and the intricate dynamics that keep their empire at the forefront of the world stage as we describe the $10 trillion family that runs the world, the Finks. Larry Fink is the undisputed titan of finance, and as co-founder, chairman, and CEO of BlackRock, he's not just a player, he's the kingpin of the financial world. Forbes estimates his net worth at a cool $1.2 billion for 2024, but that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his real influence. BlackRock, the behemoth asset manager he helms, is a colossal force, controlling a jaw-dropping $10.65 trillion. Yes, that's trillion with a T, in assets. And this mind-boggling figure is bolstered by an influx of cash into ETFs and fixed income products. Not to mention savvy acquisitions like Global Infrastructure Partners and Prekin, which have expanded BlackRock's dominance in private markets and alternative assets. Furthermore, Fink's wealth is flaunted through his extravagant lifestyle, and his real estate portfolio alone is valued at a staggering $240 million. For example, the crown jewel of his properties is Finch Farm, his sprawling 20,000 square foot estate in North Salem, New York. Indeed, it's not just a house. It's a palace with an indoor pool, tennis court, home theater, golf course, and even a helipad. And his Manhattan penthouse, snapped up for $6 million back in 2005, now commands over $25 million, offering prime proximity to BlackRock's headquarters. Then there's his Aspen retreat, a $10 million hideaway where the wealthy gather. But Fink's opulence doesn't stop with real estate. His collection of private jets, yachts, and cars is the stuff of legend. He boasts 2 private jets, including a Gulfstream G650 valued at a staggering $98 million, ensuring he can jet around the globe in unparalleled style and secrecy. And his car collection is equally impressive, featuring luxury beasts like a Rolls-Royce Phantom, Ferrari LaFerrari, Bugatti Chiron, Lamborghini Aventador, and Porsche 918 Spider. Shockingly, these automotive marvels range from $450,000 to a whopping $3 million each, luxuriously representing his flair for both extravagance and performance. Now, on the personal front, Fink's family life is equally noteworthy. He's been happily married to his high school sweetheart, Laurie Wider, since 1974. And the couple has 3 children, Joshua, Rachel, and Hannah. Thus, Larry Fink is not merely a financial mogul, he is a symbol of opulence and influence, reflecting his extraordinary success in the cutthroat world of global finance. However, dominating this same rough-and-tumble financial world also means that Larry, and thus the Fink family, are among the most controversial public figures in the 21st century. Many people see them as diabolical financial planners intent on taking over the world, while others see them as deftly helming the livelihoods of literally billions of people. In order to get a fair assessment for yourself, let's have you flip over to the next chapter to gain better insight into how it all started for Fink and his family. Now, Larry Fink was born on the 2nd of November 1952 in the unassuming district of Van Nuys, California, in a Jewish household, where his parents, Lila and Frederick Fink, instilled the virtues of diligence and an unrelenting pursuit of knowledge. Specifically, Van Nuys, a neighborhood within the sprawl of Los Angeles' San Fernando Valley, bore a history as layered and intricate as the landscape it claimed. This patch of earth owed much to the visionaries who first saw its potential, men like Isaac Lancashire and Isaac Newton van Nuys, pioneers of Dutch-Jewish descent who, in the twilight of the Civil War, began shaping the future of this land. Among these, Van Nuys himself would carve a more enduring legacy. You see, Isaac Newton van Nuys arrived in California in 1865, his ambitions as broad as the 60,000 acres of San Fernando Valley he would soon command. And though the land initially served the grazing of sheep, Van Nuys was not one to ignore the subtle whisper of opportunity, and the soil beneath his feet promised more. By 1876, he had orchestrated the first shipment of grain from San Pedro, marking a momentous stride in the valley's agricultural domain. Thus, his reach extended far beyond the fields. In 1880, Van Nuys founded the Los Angeles Farming and Milling Company, a venture that would transform raw grain into a commodity of considerable value before it ever reached market. And his interests weren't confined to agriculture alone. The tendrils of his influence wound their way into banking as he assumed the role of vice president at the Farmers and Merchants Bank and a director's seat at the Union Bank of Savings. Now, the town of Van Nuys was formally christened in 1911, a nod to the man whose endeavors had shaped so much of its existence. The Los Angeles Aqueduct, completed in 1913, delivered the lifeblood of water, igniting a period of growth that saw the town absorbed into the city's ever-expanding grid by 1915. With the Pacific Electric Railway carving through its heart, Van Nuys soon thrummed with a new energy as land sales and commerce surged. As the 20th century dawned, a Jewish community began to establish its presence in the San Fernando Valley, and the arrival of the first Jewish family in 1907 marked the beginning of a steady influx, one that gained momentum after the dust of World War II had settled. Indeed, returning veterans, many of them Jewish, were drawn to the valley's promise, its favorable climate and abundant land. By 1946, roughly 2,000 Jewish families had laid down roots in the valley, a place once dominated by farmland, now rapidly transforming into suburban sprawl. Therefore, in this era, Jewish institutions began to rise, marking their place in the valley's evolving identity. Temple Beth Hillel, founded in 1946, stood as one of the first Reform congregations in the region, and other synagogues and community centers soon followed, becoming vital threads in the fabric of Jewish life. Thus, in the midst of this burgeoning community, young Larry Fink and his siblings were expected to strive for excellence. Frederick Fink, who owned a shoe store, instilled in his son a deep respect for hard work, and Lila Fink, an English professor at California State University, Northridge, imparted a love of learning and a relentless curiosity. While his brother, Alan Fink, ventured into entrepreneurship and community service, Larry's early years were a crucible of business and academia. And though he may not have always matched his brother's academic prowess, he learned the art of perseverance within the family business. This foundation propelled him to UCLA, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science in 1974, before pursuing further education at the Anderson School of Management, where he subsequently secured an MBA with a focus on real estate in 1976. And it was during these formative years that Fink crossed paths with Lori Wider, his high school sweetheart. Their bond, forged in the fires of youth, became a constant in his life, marrying in 1974, the same year he graduated college, and beginning a union that would endure as he charted his ascent in the world of finance. Now, Larry Fink stepped into the financial arena in 1976, joining First Boston, a New York investment bank at a time when the world was shifting beneath the feet of industry giants. And the mid-1970s were a period of upheaval, the tremors of the 1973 oil crisis still rippling through economies worldwide. Therefore, in this volatile environment, the financial industry was on the cusp of transformation, seeking fresh blood to forge new paths in an uncertain landscape. It's there, in a banking world hungry for innovation, that we meet Fink, armed with an MBA in real estate from UCLA, who was precisely the kind of sharp mind that First Boston sought, a mind capable of dissecting market complexities and crafting strategies in uncharted waters. Soon, Fink carved a niche by championing the development of mortgage-backed securities, a then revolutionary financial instrument. These securities, bundles of home loans sold to investors, allowed banks to shed the heavy burden of mortgage risk, creating a flow of liquidity that would fuel further lending. And Fink's vision was clear: transform the static into the fluid, the illiquid into the tradable. However, it was a vision that would later prove to be a double-edged sword, as mortgage-backed securities would become infamous in the wake of the 2008 financial collapse, exposing the underbelly of modern finance to a world reeling from the consequences of opaque risks. Yet, at the time, Fink's innovation was hailed as a masterstroke, a cornerstone of the evolving financial architecture. But as Fink's reputation grew, so did his responsibilities. He rose to the position of managing director, becoming co-head of the taxable fixed income division. And this division, dealing with bonds and debt instruments, was the heartbeat of First Boston's financial engine, pumping capital through the arteries of government, corporate and mortgage securities. Soon, Fink's influence spread further as he established the Financial Futures and Options Department, a hub for complex contracts tethered to the fluctuating value of underlying assets. And his leadership extended to the Mortgage and Real Estate Products Group, consolidating his role as a central figure in the bank's burgeoning empire. But no empire is without its fall. In 1986, Fink's career at First Boston was marred by a staggering $100 million loss, a miscalculation that stemmed from a flawed bet on interest rates. Undoubtedly, this wasn't just a monetary loss. It was a seismic jolt that shook Fink to his core. And the incident marked the end of his time at First Boston, but it also signaled the start of a career that would navigate the murky waters of risk and reward, where the lines between success and disaster would blur, and where Fink would be both revered and questioned for the paths he chose to take. Consequently, in 1988, Larry Fink co-founded BlackRock, initially a subsidiary of the Blackstone Group. You see, the Blackstone Group itself was a relatively new player, founded just 3 years earlier by Stephen Schwarzman and Peter G. Peterson. And Schwarzman, an ambitious Yale and Harvard alumnus, was already carving out his domain in the financial world, while Peterson, a former US Secretary of Commerce, brought political acumen and gravitas to the partnership. And their vision for the Blackstone Group was clear: a private equity firm that could navigate the turbulent waters of corporate buyouts, leveraging capital to reshape companies and reap significant profits. Fink, joining forces with Schwarzman, brought to the table his hard-earned expertise in managing mortgage-backed securities and an acute awareness of the risks inherent in financial markets. This partnership was thus more than a meeting of minds. It was the fusion of complementary strengths, with Fink's meticulous approach to risk aligning perfectly with Schwarzman's ambitious strategies. Together, they envisioned BlackRock not just as an investment manager, but as a pioneer in risk management, a firm that would wield technology as a shield against the chaos of the markets. And the nascent company, initially called Blackstone Financial Management, was conceived as a guardian of capital, dedicated to safeguarding investors from the perils of the financial world. Then, the creation of Aladdin, a technological marvel in risk assessment, became BlackRock's crown jewel, a system that allowed the firm to navigate the treacherous currents of global finance with an accuracy previously unheard of. Backed by a $5 million loan from the Blackstone Group in exchange for a 50% stake, BlackRock began its rise. Yet, as the firm matured, it sought to distinguish itself, breaking away from its parent's shadow, and this led to the rebranding as BlackRock, a name that would soon resonate through the halls of global finance. Under Fink's leadership, BlackRock quickly grew, its growth driven by an unwavering commitment to client-centric solutions and a relentless pursuit of innovation in risk management. This foundation laid by Fink and his team would prove to be the bedrock on which BlackRock built its empire, evolving into the world's largest asset management firm. In 1994, a fissure split the once unified forces of BlackRock and Blackstone, with Larry Fink entrenched at the helm of BlackRock's newly independent ship. By 1998, Fink had solidified his command, assuming the title of chairman as BlackRock navigated its course through the perilous seas of finance. His grip tightened, his portfolio expanded, and he found himself steering not just as chairman of the board, but also as the head of executive and leadership committees and co-chair of the Global Client Committee. Then, when BlackRock unveiled itself to the public in 1999, the event was more than a mere financial transaction. It was a declaration, a signal that the firm was evolving into something formidable. The year 2003 cast a harsh light on Fink's growing dominion. He orchestrated the fall of Richard Grasso, the then CEO of the New York Stock Exchange, who had come under scrutiny for his excessive $190 million compensation package. And Fink's influence was unmistakable, a clear message that his sway over the financial world was deepening, his reach extending into the highest echelons of power. By 2006, BlackRock was on the brink of transformation under Fink's watchful eye. The firm embarked on a monumental merger with Merrill Lynch Investment Managers, a deal worth roughly $9.7 billion. This merger nearly doubled BlackRock's assets, bringing them to the cusp of $1 trillion. Indeed, it was a fusion of strengths: BlackRock's prowess in fixed income paired with MLIM's equity and retail expertise, creating a behemoth in the global financial landscape. The same year, BlackRock made a bold and audacious move, acquiring Stuyvesant Town Peter Cooper Village, a sprawling residential complex in Manhattan. This $5.4 billion transaction was the largest of its kind in U.S. history at the time, involving 110 buildings and over 11,000 apartments. And though it was hailed as a prime investment, the tides quickly turned against them. The ensuing financial crisis, coupled with unforeseen complications, led to a default that exacted a heavy toll on BlackRock's clients. The fallout was severe, with the California pension and retirement system suffering a staggering $500 million loss. The financial tempest of 2008 further tested BlackRock's resilience. It was here that the US government, desperate for stability, turned to Fink, and his well-established connections with senior officials proved invaluable as BlackRock was entrusted to manage toxic assets, including $30 billion from the wreckage of Bear Stearns. While BlackRock's role in stabilizing the financial system was lauded, the lack of competitive bidding for these lucrative contracts raised questions. Whispers of conflict of interest circulated, with some pointing to Fink's ties to figures like Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner as the reason for BlackRock's selection. Controversy or not, BlackRock emerged from the crisis with its reputation bolstered, and the firm's deft handling of complex assets amid chaos earned it the moniker Mr. Fix-It on Wall Street. This period marked the beginning of BlackRock's rise to the pinnacle of global asset management, a throne it still occupies today. But December 2009 brought another seismic shift. BlackRock's acquisition of Barclays Global Investors catapulted the firm into the position of the world's largest money manager. Fink, though not a name often recognized by the public, had his financial acumen acknowledged widely, and in 2010, BlackRock rewarded him handsomely with $23.6 million. But by 2021, his compensation had escalated to $36 million. Yet BlackRock's ascent has not been without shadows, and its substantial investments in defense contractors, such as Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Raytheon, have stirred unrest. For example, BlackRock's sizable holdings, 6.4% in Lockheed Martin, 5.2% in Boeing, and 6.6% in Raytheon, grant it considerable influence over these companies' governance. And the concentration of such power raises unsettling concerns about conflicts of interest. Additionally, the ethical quagmire deepens when considering the profits drawn from companies producing weapons deployed in conflicts across the globe, and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, in particular, have faced allegations of complicity in war crimes, such as the bombing of a school bus in Yemen, which claimed the lives of dozens of children. Despite these atrocities, BlackRock has continued to invest heavily in these defense giants, drawing sharp criticism for seemingly prioritizing profit over human rights. But BlackRock's influence extends far beyond passive investments. It also plays a strategic role, shaping the trajectory of these corporations. Given the intertwined relationship between the military-industrial complex and media conglomerates, many of which are also under BlackRock's substantial ownership, the potential for narrative manipulation looms large. The convergence of media and defense contracting under BlackRock's influence threatens to distort public perceptions of war and defense spending, aligning them with corporate interests rather than objective reality. Furthermore, in 2018, Larry Fink's annual open letter to CEOs urged corporations to take active roles in improving the environment, their communities, and workforce diversity. This move was seen as BlackRock, one of the largest public investors, wielding its immense power to enforce what many critics call a form of social engineering, where one company dictates the public's behaviors and commercial options that should be determined by the free market and a free society. Thus, the implications are vast, and with trillions in assets, BlackRock wields a disproportionate influence over global markets. By imposing environmental, social, and governance, or ESG criteria, BlackRock pressures companies to conform to its vision of corporate responsibility. This concentration of power in one firm's hands, and by extension in Larry Fink's, raises fundamental questions about the balance of economic power and democratic governance. Therefore, the broader consequence of BlackRock's actions hints at a shift toward a planned economy, where investment decisions are guided by predetermined goals rather than market forces. This raises profound questions about whether a single firm, and in particular, one single family, should have the power to set the global agenda, or if these decisions should rest with the people through their elected representatives. However, on a more positive note, Fink and BlackRock have experienced a dramatic metamorphosis in his views on Bitcoin, transitioning from a wary skeptic to a fervent proponent. And this seismic shift in perspective has paved the way for BlackRock's audacious foray into the cryptocurrency sphere with the launch of a Bitcoin ETF, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, or IBIT, a move that has quickly captured the imagination of the financial world. Specifically, Fink's epiphany came as he recognized Bitcoin's potential to upend traditional finance, offering a novel sanctuary for value amid rampant economic turbulence and inflationary pressures. This revelation spurred BlackRock to ambitiously file for a Bitcoin ETF, a decision that was met with an unprecedented wave of market enthusiasm. Then, in a mere 11 weeks, the IBIT shattered records, raking in over $13.5 billion in inflows, a feat that left even Fink himself pleasantly surprised. By July 2024, the fund's assets had surged past $22.5 billion, signaling a robust appetite from both institutional and retail investors. Thus, the ETF's meteoric rise has not only affirmed Fink's faith in Bitcoin, but has also cemented BlackRock's status as a vanguard in the cryptocurrency ETF arena, trailing only the grayscale Bitcoin Trust. With that said, the next generation of Finks are waiting silently in the wings to leave their own mark of influence, which is where we'll meet them in the next chapter. Now, the next generation of Finks is composed of three prominent figures: Joshua, Rachel, and Hannah, and each has carved a distinct path, yet their stories intertwine. Joshua Fink, the eldest, navigates the treacherous waters of finance with a sharp, calculating mind. His rise began soon after his graduation from the University of Pennsylvania, and at a mere 23 years old, he established Enso Capital Management, a hedge fund firm with a predatory edge. Enso Capital emerged with a long-short equity strategy that thrived on volatility, and natural resources became its prey. Stocks bought with a keen eye on their ascent, while others were marked for downfall and shorted with ruthless precision. But the world of hedge funds couldn't contain Joshua's ambitions. He became a founding partner at Ascendant Capital Partners LP, a venture steeped in the gritty realities of real estate. Accordingly, Ascendant Capital operates with a hands-on methodology, seizing and transforming properties in sectors ripe for exploitation: hospitality, data infrastructure, and multifamily units enhanced by the creeping tendrils of technology. Their gaze fixes on urban landscapes, molding and manipulating property values through calculated investments and developments. Furthermore, his time as CEO of Ophir Holdings, Incorporated, for example, underscores his appetite for the raw, untamed sectors of natural resources. Ophir Holdings drills deep into the earth, focusing on commodities like oil, gas, and minerals, essentials that keep the world turning and Joshua's coffers filled. Thus, Joshua's scope is global, his gaze fixed on emerging markets in regions often overlooked by more timid investors. Eritrea, Tanzania, Colombia, each has felt the impact of his ventures, where finance meets the frontier. Rachel Fink, Joshua's sister, follows a different yet equally compelling path, her life entangled in the visual arts and the intricate world of non-profit organizations. As managing director of Theatre Bay Area, she steers a ship that has been navigating the cultural currents of San Francisco since 1976. TBA supports the theatre community, offering grants, professional development, and advocacy, all under Rachel's vigilant watch. But her academic pursuits add another layer to her persona. A Master of Arts at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies occupies her thoughts, aligning with her deep-seated dedication to global issues. Meanwhile, Hannah Fink is deeply invested in social justice, focusing her efforts on educational and empowerment initiatives for underprivileged communities. And despite her contributions, Hannah maintains a low public profile. Therefore, the Fink family's rise from humble beginnings in Van Nuys to the pinnacle of global finance and influence hints at a journey marked by an admirable ambition and yet a controversial manipulation of power. And it remains to be seen what the future holds. With that said, we'd absolutely love to see your thoughts in the comments. What is your opinion of BlackRock, Larry Fink and his family? Are they doing a good job handling one of the biggest responsibilities on Earth, with trillions of people's livelihoods in their hands? Or are they greedily manipulating our hard-earned dollars? We can't wait to hear from you. And thanks again for joining us for another episode of Old Money Luxury. And cheers until next time.